After watching this video, you will finally feel certain and see clearly what you meant to the person showing avoidant attachment traits. One of the most confusing relationship dynamics is when something between you and another person feels deeply real. There are warm, intimate, promising moments, but somehow it still never becomes the relationship you hoped it would. This video will help you stop feeling like a replaceable option, which is exactly how this dynamic can leave you feeling. And instead of trying to get your sense of influence back by replaying every moment together or overanalyzing every message, you'll be able to focus on what can actually shift this dynamic. After working deeply with people on both the anxious and avoidant sides of attachment, one thing stands out very clearly. What creates real change is very different from what only brings temporary relief. So, if you're ready to stop feeling like you're the one waiting, overthinking, and trying to hold something together on your own, subscribe. That's what this channel is about. This video is about 3 reasons what truly turns the dynamic into a dead end for both people. Like, you can't really be with each other, but you also can't fully let each other go. Why an avoidant person pulls away, but still keeps the connection alive, and why you can feel hurt, angry, even exhausted by this dynamic, and yet still feel pulled back into it, even if it's just in your mind. So, reason number 1, why avoidance won't commit but won't let you go. Most addictive relationships are built on, not on push-pull. The other person's actually, and the other person's choices and behavior have much less impact on you than you might think. Most addictive relationships, I mean the one that shaping it up to dependency rather than safe closeness, are built on contradiction. More precisely, the pain of contradiction. The push-pull cycle often develops as a way to temporarily relieve that pain. The contradiction looks like this. You can genuinely feel drawn to someone, you can like them, feel close to them, feel connection with them, and at the very same time, you can feel angry at them, upset about their choices, disappointed in their limitations. The person may be right for you in many ways, but their way of being in a relationship isn't. This is what I call the pain of ambiguity in relationships. It's when the person feels right for you in many, many ways, but the way they show up in relationship does not work for you. When the psyche can tolerate this ambivalence, it holds this contradiction without destroying itself, without destroying the value of relationship, which is very important to be able to let go of the relationship. You have to stay in touch with the value of relationships without destroying the other person. It can recognize, I can care about this person, and at the same time see that something about this relationship does not work for me. And when the psyche cannot tolerate that ambiguity, something else starts happening. Instead of holding the contradiction, the psyche simplifies the story. The other person becomes either the one who will finally make me happy, or the one who is standing in the way of my happiness. So this is how reason 2 is created. People become united not by closeness. They are united by the same unresolved emotional tension that they just resolve in opposite ways. It also answers the question why the same emotional tension pushes two people who both want closeness in completely different directions. People with anxious attachment usually had experience where their dissatisfaction or their needs did not really influence what happened in the relationship. In this scenario, the psyche learns to protect the bond. It starts focusing more on what keeps the relationship alive, on the good moments, on the potential, on the rare moments of closeness, and the discomfort starts getting explained away or ignored. This is where idealization appears. Idealization is often the psyche's way of removing the painful part of that contradiction. Idealization allows the psyche to focus only on the part that keeps the connection alive. And here's the mirror mechanism on the avoidance side. On one side, there is still real attraction, connection, pull toward the other person. But on the other side, there is a growing sense of vulnerability, dependence, exposure, the fear of losing autonomy. And if that side becomes too uncomfortable or too threatening, the psyche resolves the tension in the opposite direction. It begins to strengthen the parts of the story that justify distance, the flaws, the incompatibilities, the doubts, which leads to the mirror defense, which is devaluation. And there's a really bright example that you can see how it looks in my highlights that's called avoidance. There is a very demonstrative example of it, where anxious attachment protects the bond through idealization. Avoidant attachment protects the self through devaluation. Two sides of dealing with exactly the same mechanism. Reason number 3. This creates a cycle. Idealization and devaluation removes half of reality, but the psyche always returns to what was left out. The psyche's goal is never happiness. The psyche's goal is wholeness. And that's why you keep feeling pulled back into it, because something inside you still has not settled. And until then, the experience keeps feeling unfinished in your body. So letting go takes a lot of effort because it's forced through willpower rather than becoming the natural result of something inside that finally settled. Because letting go or having great relationships is never a goal. It's always a natural result or reflection of when things inside of you align. So the cycle becomes, I can't really be with you, but I also can't fully be without you, or I can fully let you go. Because every time you choose distance, all the good parts come back into focus. And every time you choose closeness, all the parts that hurt you come back. So even a small moment can restart the cycle. When they text or when they call, they show some warmth, some interest, and the mind returns to the first half of the splitted reality. It looks like they are right for me. Maybe they are right for me. And the inner conflict starts all over again. I created a guide to insecure attachment dynamics with a focus on the dynamic with avoidant attachers. So closeness stops feeling rare, fragile, or easy to lose in your life and starts feeling normal. Something you can expect, receive, relax in, and live inside. Rare closeness never turns into love. It only strengthens into dependency. And this guide changes that without ever having to guess again or feel like you are building relationships alone. The link is below. You might already understand the reasons behind another person's behavior. And here is the tricky part. The mind can explain anything, but the psyche does not need more explanations. It needs the experience to be integrated. And until that happens, the tension of it stays in your body. You might still do what you believe is the right thing to do, but often it comes from willpower, not from something inside you actually being resolved. And it's not much fun to move through life like that, let alone to build relationships when your body is still holding the tension. Like something in the experience never fully closed, and you cannot take a full breath. And very often it is not even the current experience. It is an attempt to resolve previous or even very early development experience from the past in the present. That's why I developed a method that works with emotional center, body center, and resolves tension at its source. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next videos.